Scout, you want to go get a Sonic? Yeah? Oh, okay, let's go. Why are you sighing at me like that? Oh my gosh. Whoa, it's empty. I'm gonna tell you why I moved to Nashville. I'm leaning my chair back for this. Oh, sorry, Scout. Come on. Cute. Oh, nice. She's probably finding crumbs. I moved to Nashville in April. It's now December. I can't really explain why, honestly. There's like a lot of reasons, but I guess I'll just explain how I got there. So essentially, I graduated in 2020. And if you graduated in 2020, like, you probably didn't walk. Probably didn't see your friends. It was just so weird. I was on spring break, and they essentially just told us never to come home. At first we were excited because it was like they were extending our spring break, and so I was like with all my friends, and we were like, let's all come to my place and we can just have a extra spring break week. That didn't end up happening, and they just canceled basically the rest of in-person school and all of our classes. Oh my gosh, I had to stop. Look at that. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. So all of our classes went online. None of my professors were prepared for that. And so essentially I just didn't even have to do anything, which was kind of great. It was like a really nice break because I already had my job secured, thankfully, for, it was like June 15th is when I started. It was, so I wouldn't have had that long of a break in between college and my first job. So once work started, it felt like I was like ready to go do something again because I basically hadn't been doing anything. Like, I had saved all of my fun classes for my last semester. So I was in like a CSI class and a bowling class. For my bowling class, we had to make a video of ourselves doing a bowling form with like balls and like something as pins. So I literally like threw a ball of some sort into water bottles, and that was my the rest of the bowling class. So I did quarantine with my parents in Nashville, and I kind of fell in love with Nashville a little bit during that time. Then fast forward to June, my job told us that we need to be in the city that we're going to be working in. And so I was like, okay, I got to get an apartment in Chicago. At that time, we didn't know what was going to happen. So I thought that like we might be in person, like nobody really knew. I would check Zillow every day. And then I rented this one apartment that was really cheap. It was like $1,000 a month. And I rented it literally the day it popped up without even going to see it. Like, I didn't know anything. I literally didn't even go visit Chicago. And I rented the apartment. I had been to Chicago before, but like not the area, didn't know well. But I just saw the photos and I was like, that's really cool. It was a 1-bedroom, tiny bedroom, but it was a 1-bedroom and it was so cheap. So I was like, that's good enough for me, at least for the first year. But I ended up moving there like in June when my job first started. But we ended up not being in person for a full year. And so I just worked in this tiny, it was probably like 400 square foot apartment by myself, not knowing anybody in Chicago for a year. And it was so hard to meet people just because there was like nothing going on. The city was completely shut down. It was always weird. Like, if you didn't know if people wanted to like shake your hand, like nobody shook hands. Like, you didn't know if you could talk to people that you didn't know. It was just like everything was like so restricted, and nobody knew what the new thing to do was that was polite. So basically I was like alone in my apartment for a really long time, not doing anything. I did start a marshmallow business at this time. This is such a tangent and unrelated that I'm really not going to go deep into it. But I ended up spending like a lot of time doing that, and thank goodness I had that, because other than that I wouldn't have like had anything to do to like keep my mind occupied. So I would just make marshmallows every day and walk to to the post office every day. Like, it was a mile away. I walked to the post office because the bus was like $2 and that would eat into my profits. So I would take a bag of packages of marshmallows to mail every day, and that's kind of like what I did other than working. My first boss wasn't super responsive, so there was times where I like didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, and I felt bad about it, and I felt awkward and uncomfortable because I felt like guilty that I should be doing a lot more. But like, there would be times where my boss wouldn't respond for like days. So it was hard, and I moved away. None of my friends moved to Chicago. I literally didn't know anybody there. And a lot of them were still in college just because all of my friends were pretty much from, I ran cross country and track, and so they were pretty much all on the team, and like a lot of them are younger than me. But then just a lot of them, none of them moved to Chicago. So I was there alone. So I had a really hard time meeting people, like everybody did at that time, and felt really lonely, like everybody probably did at that time. But I was like, it was okay. And at that time, like, I was having like relationship issues, but also just like compounded upon like friend problems, because I felt like I didn't have any friends in general. Because when you go from a environment where you're like around your friends every day and you live with them and like you are on a team with them and you run with them and like you do everything together, and then to leave that and like not talk to them, and it was just like some weird things happened. So it just felt like, I don't know, I just felt so like alone, and it was really just depressing, which I'm sure like a ton of people like felt the same way, and so isolated. It was so isolating, 2020 was. So long story short, I start going into the office. At first it's like good, but then I end up in a group where we're the only group in the office, literally the only one. All of my friends that I had eventually started to make within the bank were working mostly from home. Literally, we were like the only people on our floor in the office. At the end of 2021, I'm going to the office every day, kind of feeling stuck in there. And like my relationship at the time is like kind of not going super well. I think I just honestly wasn't doing well, like mentally. Like, I just was really depressed and like a lot of other things. Me and my ex broke up like in November, a week before Thanksgiving, and his whole family was supposed to come down to be with my family. Obviously that didn't happen. And I immediately stopped my online business because I just like couldn't do it. It was just too much. It was taking away too much on my life. Hindsight, taking probably a big toll on my relationship too, and just like so many other things. So I had to stop it. I literally canceled like 100 orders. And I like lived with my sister for a little bit because it was really hard. And then, oh my gosh, I'm getting like, Christmas comes around and all of my friends are working remote from home and visiting their families. And I am like sitting in the office on the 23rd of December because I have to be in the office, even though there's literally nobody there and there's really not much to do during the holidays. And I'm just like, my grandma's home and I'm not going to be able to see her because I'm not even going home. We went on a trip instead. So like, I didn't even get to see my grandma who visited. And it just was like, I was like, what am I doing? But it was kind of depressing again. And I'm really thankful for that job. Like, it was a really great first job and I loved all the people I worked with. They were all really great, but just like the environment of it. And then I just didn't see myself there like long term. Like, I looked at the jobs that my boss had and like my boss's boss, and I was like, I don't think I want to do any of this. I'm not like super passionate about it like they are. I enjoy it, but it's just not like, it's not something that I want to like strive to go do for the rest of my life. So then I went to Mexico for Christmas and I got COVID there. I was the only one. This is where I made like my first video kind of for this channel. I was the only person in my family that got tested positive for COVID. So I had to stay there for 5 days, isolated in a room alone, where all of my family left except for my mom. She stayed just somewhere else in Mexico, but I had to stay. And so I was like in the room alone, and it was awesome. It was so awesome because it was like, it was one of those all-inclusive things. So they like brought me room. It was like, I miss it. I wish I could go back and be in quarantine in that room again. It was like the time of my life, but I had so much time to just sit there and think. And so I was like, I decided one of my New Year's resolutions was that I have a plan by the end of 2021 to move to Nashville. Little did I know it was going to happen so quick. So I go home, and the first weekend that I'm at home, I applied like 5 or 6 jobs on LinkedIn or something. The job market at that time was really, really hot. And so I got multiple interviews with 3 different opportunities, and one of them I just ended up like loving, and I really jived with the team. And so I flew out to Nashville and I did like an interview with them, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so quick. And by the end of February, I had an offer, and I quit my job. I gave him my 2 weeks and I quit. And at that point, like, I had bought in the condo, and it was just like, because at the time I thought that I was going to be there for 5 years, and that was like a really great deal, great rate. It would have been a great move had I stayed in Chicago, but I just didn't foresee myself like moving immediately. And then when it happened so quick, I was like, oh gosh. And then my HOA wouldn't let me lease it. So anyways, I ended up selling it, which it all ended up being okay. And I packed up my cars in one weekend. We drove 2 cars. I gave everything else away. And it was like clean slate. It felt so good to just like let it all go and drive out. And it was sad because I really did, like, it was really hard at the end, like deciding to move or to stay, because I really made good connections with great people that I really like know that if I was still there, like I think I'd be doing thriving a lot better. Like with a community, everything gets better. But yeah, I was looking back at I was looking through all my old photos, and I came across like a photo of my mom sent me a birthday cake in 2021. And I just remember, like, actually it was 2020 too. It was this year. And I just remember, oh my gosh. Scout's looking at that. I just remember like not having any plans and not feeling comfortable enough to like celebrate, or like, I don't know. I remember that I hung out with like a newer friend on the day of my birthday, but didn't even tell them it was my birthday. And then I accidentally like told them it was my birthday at dinner. I like didn't even tell them. They didn't know that they were going to dinner with me on my birthday, because I just didn't feel comfortable. Like, I didn't want there to be any extra weird pressure. But my mom like sent me a birthday cake, and I remember like eating it alone. I'm like slightly teary-eyed. But anyways, I remember just eating the cake. Like, I ate it all by myself just over the course of the week, because I don't know. And I remember that it felt like meant so much when she sent me it. I don't know. And so basically, I just remember that cake meaning so much to me, because I felt so like I didn't have anybody else. And I'm just so thankful for my parents. So long story short, I move here. I like don't know what I'm doing exactly for the first month. Still don't know what I'm doing exactly, but I feel like I'm supposed to be here, and I love it here. And I actually love living with my parents, and I just like being with them every day. And I don't know if that's lame. And I'm finally meeting people that I really like. It's slow going, but I am meeting people. It takes a while to like settle in, and I love the people I work with literally so much. Like, my job, it's my dream job, as much as like, you know, a job can be. It is like, I genuinely just like going into work every day because of the people that I work with, and like is interesting and new, and I have stuff to do every day, and I'm not bored. Like, I am so like thankful coming from my last job where all those things weren't necessarily true, except for I did love everybody I worked with, but it was just different. Like, I didn't have the connections. They didn't feel like family necessarily. Like, these people feel almost like family, and that's so weird to say, and like, they're definitely not, but I mean, I don't know, I just like love them as people. And so yeah, I was like looking back through all my photos and just like looking at all the pictures of like from my time in Chicago, and there's so much that I like, stuff that happened there that I love and I'm thankful for, and I look back fondly on it. But it is like sometimes when I remember the reality behind like the photos and like some of the times that I went through there, like it was really hard. And I think everybody had a super hard 2020, and I feel like this generation in general is just like so lonely, so isolated, and was hard. Like 2020 was hard for everybody. It's hard for all the seniors that graduated from college. I can't imagine being a high school senior and missing your prom and then going into your freshman year of college as like socially distanced. Like, that must have been so hard. And so many people lost jobs and like so much. So yeah, everybody had it really tough. And yeah, it beats you down sometimes, but I'm just really thankful for where I am right now. Like today, I'll explain to you why I love living here. Today, it's Sunday, I went to church, and then I met my parents downtown in Franklin, and we walked around, and there was like a street festival where there was old-timey people doing old-timey things. Like, this one guy was literally, I'll show you the video. He was playing, you know how you can like drink water glasses and then go around the rim like, woo? He was playing, what was it? He was playing the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, that song on water glasses. It was so cool. And everybody was dressed up like old-timey. Not everybody, but like a lot of the people there were dressed up old-timey because it was supposed to be old-timey themed. There was women like making yarn and then them knitting the yarn into different things. It was so cool. And so I like got to do this with my parents. Here's the video of the guy. Like, that is so cool. And then we went and we got tea at this place that my mom wanted to go to, and like, look, that's my B-reel today. It just happened to capture that moment. Look, I brought my like camera and took all these photos. That's my dad trying to put his pinky up. That's my mom. There's me and my mom. And just like, I'm just so thankful to have all these times with them. So yeah, it's all worked out for the better. And who knows, like literally so much happens in 1 year. It's crazy to think that last year I was in Chicago and it's just flown by, but it's also like just so much has happened in a year. So much has happened in 2 years. So much has happened in 3 years. It's crazy. In a year I could have a child, you never know. But we never know. Anyways. I don't know how long that was or how interesting it was, but yeah.